my dear friends and net aspirants, welcome back to yet another video in the video series of cultural studies, and welcome back again to my channel where you will get study contents related to NTA, UGC, NET, JRF, English language and literature. So if you are ready with a paper and pen, without any delay, let's move on to today's topic, which is everyday life. So in the previous video we have seen identity, and today we are going to learn about everyday life. So let me tell you one thing, that why we are learning all these things. See, in academics as well as cultural studies is concerned, there are some crushed areas. So the first one was what? First one was language discourse. We have already seen that. Then comes identity. Now we have everyday life. So about everyday life, cultural studies has a very specific taste and very specific interest towards it, and what are the reasons for it we will see later. You can imagine yourself. So for you, if you were listening properly to the audio lectures that I have given, then you can imagine somewhat how everyday life is related to culture and cultural studies of a society. Now, before beginning, let me tell you that if you are also there on Instagram, you can follow me there, because I am sharing a lot of free materials there in my Instagram ID. So don't lose any chance of getting any of those study materials. Save them into your account and use them whenever necessary. If you are interested, come to Instagram and follow me there. And also I have a WhatsApp group in which I am sharing news and updates related to NTU, UGC, NET, as well as some study materials along with daily quiz question and answer to the question. So if you are interested, you can go to the description box and click the link and join. If not, you can directly message me or call me in this number. I'll share the link. You can join easily. So more than that, we have a website in which we are sharing more than 900 plus audio lectures. We have divided the entire indicative syllabus of NTA, UGC, NET for you under 10 subjects and 10 modules and topics you will find there. Under that, each module you will find subtopics, chapters and many more things. You can have the free trial in the website and you can see whatever we are provided there as audio lectures and 300 plus PDF downloadable materials and practice and previous question papers. So if you are interested, you can join us. After joining either of the courses, you will get 2 bonuses in the form of weekly test in every Saturdays, as well as you will get a personalized study guidelines according to your own preferences and schedule. So if you want to know more, don't hesitate to message me in this number given on the screen, or directly from my website you can message me, or you can use the Instagram platform to message me and know. So if you are studying on your own, visiting my website will help you in a way that you will know what you have to study for your NET JRF preparation in a systematic way. So don't miss the chance of having 15% of off going on in the website. So you can grab a chance of joining our family, and also you can have a systematic study towards your goal of having NET and JRF in English language and literature if you are determined to have it in 2022. So don't waste your time by waiting for the next NTA notification. Start studying today itself and make use of the whole materials and benefits that we have provided here. Let's move on to the introductory session. So I hope you are ready with a paper and pen, because I will be reading each of these lines and I'll be explaining. It's not that I have given the complete things in here. You have to listen to my audios without skipping. You have to listen to the video and my sound, whatever I am telling, because I'll be explaining each points. Okay, so maybe you will feel that everyday life as a concept, it is very easy, but there are many more things that you need to understand about this concept of everyday life from the background of cultural studies. So let's begin. Cultural studies interest in everyday life proceeds from what Raymond Williams called lived cultures, where culture is produced through everyday living. Raymond Williams is the one who called culture as everyday. Culture is a thing that is not residing and produced somewhere else in some other planet or some other world and carried to this society and you are consuming it. No, it is a lived culture. We are living in a culture and we are engaging in the process of creating culture, maintaining and expanding or changing it. Okay, so it was Raymond Williams who emphasized the importance of lived culture in the year 1981. Okay, so after that, cultural studies, from that point of view of Williams, cultural studies also had a great interest in everyday life. Okay, culture is produced in everyday life. Culture is not produced in a distant realm or world and people consume it. So culture is not a thing that is produced in some other world, some other place, some other planet, and fetched that thing to your society and you are consuming it. But people are living in everyday life and they are producing and maintaining and propagating the culture, and also culture is not fixed, it will change as they are living in their everyday life. And culture is a consequence of experience and response. See how culture is produced in everyday life. So in everyday life we are having so much experiences of different kinds and we are responding to many situations and experiences. That is what creating what culture. So making of culture is linked to power too. So you cannot think that you have certain experiences and you are responding simply like that, a culture is evolving. But how certain things, certain matters and certain artifacts or certain concepts in culture got legitimacy while others are not, because it is linked to power structure, because culture is linked to power structure. So you can ask two questions, that is, who can access to certain forms of culture in everyday life? Everybody has no access to every other cultural artifact or cultural forms in a society. Some people has some access, some people have access while some others don't have. So who is determining this access, or who has this access to every other forms of culture in everyday life? And what are the legitimate forms of culture acceptable in everyday life? So take the example of literature. If you are reading a book, that's perfectly fine. If you are reading a magazine, that's also fine. But if you are reading a porn literature, whether it is an acceptable thing in your everyday life by everyone in your culture? In a culture there are porn literature, that's a reality, but people are also reading and consuming it, enjoying this porn literature whatever ways it comes. But it's not a legitimate form of culture as far as a book is concerned that you need to consume in a society. You don't have an approval, you have to have some sort of hiding. You create a hiding place. You will hide this literature somewhere in your room and you will read it whenever you feel that it is safe to read it, right? So that's why porn literature is not a legitimate form of culture, which is not acceptable in everyday life. But anyway, we are consuming it. Most of the people, they are consuming it, but still it is not acceptable, it is not legitimate. See, certain things are getting acceptability while certain things are not. Certain customs, certain things, certain artifacts are acceptable and legitimate while even though we are practicing them in everyday life, certain things are not getting acceptability as the previous ones. Okay, so that's all about the introduction. Now let's move on in deep to the concept of everyday life. Cultural studies have a focus on everyday life, especially the everyday life of the metropolises, where life is multi-layered and contested. So life is more complex and contested and multi-layered in cities. Take the example of Chennai, Mumbai, or Delhi, or Cochin. You take the example. So what kind of life they are living? Are they living purely culturally a kind of Indian way of life? They are having that kind of an everyday life? No, they are having a kind of very different lifestyle and they have a very different consumption style. Their social interactions and relations are all different from the urbanized, non-urbanized or country life. So that's why cultural studies, they have a special focus on everyday life, especially the everyday life of city people, like where life is multi-layered and contested. And everyday life is about the practices of the routine. See, we have certain routines in our life. Take the example how you are beginning your day. You have a routine. You will go through the social media, most of you, if you have a phone. I'm not judgmental here, but most of the students, especially young people and also older generation, they are doing nowadays. That's whenever you begin your day, open your eyes and you will start with your day with the things that you have missed from the previous night. in social media, right? That is a bad habit, let me tell you. But most of the people are beginning their life, their day like that only, and they'll carry out certain things. If you are a woman, you have certain routines to carry out in your family. If you are a man, you have certain other routines. So everyday life is about certain practices and routines that we have in our life, that we are doing in our life in everyday sense, and it is about the lifestyle. See, you have a certain set of things that you are doing as your lifestyle, the way in which you are dressing, the food that you are consuming, the way in which you are having relationship with people, the transportation facility that you are using to move from one place to other, how you are going to your workplace. Are you having a work from home, or are you having a day to day, you have, whether you have to go to the office and work there, or what kind of dress code you need to wear there, how you are going to have your food, and things that you are consuming there, what kind of celebrations that you are celebrating. So in that way, lifestyle got a great role. Lifestyle is one of the things that we have to concentrate in the concept of everyday life. And consumption, how we are consuming all these experiences and practices that we have, and all the things are available out there, in the sense that, see, if you are in a city, you will order food now which are not even Indian companies, but they will produce, they will offer some cuisine, some delicacies which are Indian and also hybridized, or mix of Western and Indian. So in that way, you have lot of chances for consumption. What are you consuming and what are you not consuming? Their social interaction and relations, what kind of social interactions that you have with other people. I mean, while you travel along in a commuting in a metropolitan city, then what kind of interactions that you have, what kind of interaction that you have with your neighbors, whether you know who are your neighbors in a city. So in that way, lifestyle, consumption, social interactions and relationship, all these things are there in everyday life. We have to consider all these things when we consider everyday life. The social realm, society, is constituted by the cultural artifact used by the people. So social realm, that means the society itself, it is made up of the cultural artifacts used by the society. How a society is formed, it's not just simply some group of people, millions of people are living together in a metropolitan city. Okay, it's not that simple as that. A society is formed by the cultural artifacts. Not only the objects, but cultural concepts are consumed and used and produced and maintained and propagated and circulated by the people. So it's not that simple as you think. The everyday life is not that simple. But you are not unusually unaware about it. When you think about your own lifestyle, you can understand whatever we are going to learn here. Cultural artifacts in the social realm can be studied through the analysis of everyday life. So if you analyze everyday life, because culture is produced in everyday life, so cultural artifacts and its production and consumption, all these things are studied through the analysis of everyday life. Cultural studies analyzes everyday life, account for subjectivity in people's response, since experience is subjective. See, culture is produced in a society by a community of people through communication. What they are communicating? They are communicating about their experiences. Okay, so through experiences, we will have, in experience will happen in a context, and that context will create some sort of identity, and it will create meaning. So it goes like this. Representations will be there and meanings will be there, and we have an experience of these things there. And these experiences, when it comes down to individual level, it is subjective. Subjective means maybe the same thing is experienced by me is different from other people. They may feel it quite natural, but as a woman, maybe I'll be feeling something different. My experience about something is different. So experience is something that is subjective, and we have to study in cultural studies. Everyday life, actually, they are account for subjectivity. Okay, everyday life is specific to location and culture. See, your culture is not the same with a person who is living in another city of the same country. What Chennai people are practicing, what is the lifestyle of Chennai people who is living there, what kind of people living there, different, a milieu of different kind of people are living there, but still their lifestyle, the celebration that they are getting, the holidays that they are getting, the things that they are getting there to consume, the lifestyle they are having is totally different from a person who is living in Delhi. And Delhi and New York, you take entirely different culture, even though Indian people will live there in New York too, but still the culture both of them having, the everyday life that both of them having are totally different, because everyday life is specific to location and cultures, because before you arrive there is a culture and you are consuming it and you are using that cultural events and things and particular concepts there in your life and consuming, and you are having experiences and you are also participating in the construction of that culture. And it is also location basic, in the sense that you cannot consume anything that is not there. If you wanted to order something from Swiggy, that is part of your lifestyle, okay, but if you don't have access to Swiggy there, the place you are living, then you cannot access it. So that won't be a daily routine of your life, ordering from Swiggy or Zomato. So everyday life is specific to locations and culture, because that location, the facilities and things that are there in that location and the cultural things are approved inside that culture, that only you can find there. Otherwise your everyday life will be a total different from any other place. Experience is the cornerstone of everyday life, and experience is everyday life. So this is actually vice versa, that experience is the most important thing that you are having in everyday life, and this experience is everyday life, and this experience creates what? Culture. Experiences and our response to these experiences create everyday life, and also culture is created through that everyday life. See how these are interconnected. Through experiences we construct our realities. See, we have certain experiences. See, as children, if you are a female, if you are a woman, and during your childhood you have many experiences, like older people or elder people or your mother, they will continuously say that you should not sit like this, you should do the chores of your house because you are a woman. So you have certain experiences from childhood, and maybe after certain time you will contradict with that experiences and you will respond differently, but most of the cases you will, according to that experiences, you will construct your realities, your perceptions. So your reality is that the way in which you are living, and that's the way in cultural studies experience are studied. So how come experience is so important in cultural studies? Because experience will create the realities for you. Okay, so maybe if I'm telling that, see, men are so horrible, but your experience with men, maybe they are so fabulous. So your reality about them is totally different from what I have. So experiences are constructed our realities, and that's why this reality, in a way, the combination of this reality will lead to have an everyday life, have a life for our own. We will have a lived culture, and we will construct and propagate this culture. So this way, how cultural studies, experiences are studied as a important session in everyday life. And experiences are expressed through language, how we are expressing and responding to these experiences. Not only we will create some concepts. See, even though you are constructing realities about experiences, or you are constructing some concepts within yourself, or you are communicating these experiences to others, then that is done through language. See how patriarchy maintained all these years. You tell me, it's not that we are majorly in our childhood, even at least we are raised by our mother, not a man, not by our father in most of the cases. I'm not telling 100%, but most of the cases, in most of the families, we are raised by our mother major. For a great extent. Okay, so why come then, even then we uphold certain patriarchal things? Because mother is actually a person sometimes, and most of the times in a family, who will propagate patriarchal ideologies, and she will treat boy kids and girl kids two different ways, and she will set some rules for girls to do and set some rules for boys to do. So in that way, so she had many experiences, and she has her own reality constructed out of it, and that reality is propagated through language. Okay, so that language itself is important. So that's how communication is important, and communication theories are important in cultural studies. Culture is produced through everyday living, the food people eat, the fashion they adopt, the entertainment that they prefer, or the festivals they prefer. This point I already mentioned, that Raymond Williams' mention of lived culture in 1981 is the thing that brought about this importance of everyday life in cultural studies. And everyday life produces culture, and culture is not some distinct realm produced elsewhere to be consumed by the people. It's a consequence of experiences and responses. So I'm not going to elaborate these points because we have already seen them. Now let's move on to the next. Cultural studies focus upon this process of making culture out of the everyday experience of people. And power plays a great role in the everyday experiences of people, thus controls the formation of culture. So about this also we have discussed, that how how power structures plays a great role in the everyday experiences, that who can have access to certain cultural forms in everyday life, and what are the legitimate forms of cultural artifacts which are acceptable in everyday life. Please remember the example of porn literature that I have mentioned there. And lifestyle and consumption of cultural artifact go along with everyday life. So we have certain lifestyle and our consumption, and we are engaging in cultural artifacts in that way through our lifestyle and consumption, and this goes along with our everyday life. It's not that we will sit one day and we will consume and we will have a lifestyle for the sake of culture, and we will be exactly the opposite or something else in the very next day. No, we in a daily basis, just like that, as a natural process, we are having lifestyle, we are consuming things like food, fashion, or many more things, government offering things, and many more things we are having, and we will consume all these things along with our everyday life. The producers make the cultural artifact according to the prevalent culture of the location. See how come food delivery system is there in cosmopolitan cities, and how come you can get western wears in the corner of your street in that particular shop. How come that is available to you? Because of the lifestyle that these consumer, that the producers, they know about it. See, in cosmopolitan city, people will have a very rush, hustle bustle kind of life. They have to go to work, both the parents will be working, and kids will go to their own places for having studies. And in today's case, we can see that in today's scenario, we can see that parents are working from home, but still their life is so rushful. They are having a rushful life. So most of the time they won't get a chance to cook for themselves, and they will prefer ordering food. So there is a chance to produce that particular food culture in that society. But a food ordering system that won't work in countryside that much as of metropolitan cities. Okay, so they find the producers of these kind of lifestyles, and those who are providing these kind of lifestyles, they can actually understand what is the prevalent culture of the location. So see, that's how this experience and this production of culture is location based. In that location, how people are consuming, what kind of prevalent cultural habits they have, and they will make artifacts according to that prevalent cultural habits, everyday life. These products have a symbolic value that is consumed by individuals who act subjectively to these objects. So even though when you are ordering a food from Swiggy or Zomato, you are acting according to your subjective preferences, but these have symbolic values. Symbolic values means that something, if you are ordering from McDonald's, or if you are ordering from Pizza Hut, This is actually a hybridization of, or we are actually having a kind of global kind of access to foods out there which are not local delicacies, but that's at the same time these people, they will also offer, these pizza people, they will also offer local mixed versions with Western delicacies. So hybrid versions will also provided by them. So they have these products that they are offering, they have a symbolic value that is consumed by individuals who act subjectively, even though they are acting subjectively according to your subjective personal emotions and preferences. Even then, these products have symbolic value within them. The acceptance of the objects promotes further production. See, once a company established a food delivery system in a metropolitan city, if that got accessed and that got accepted by the society, then it will, this object, this thing, this concept of food delivery chains and systems, it will get promoted further in that society. So that's how we have so many food delivering system. Even bakeries and even shops, they have a delivery system. So in that, because they have seen that this particular thing got accepted by the society, the cultural lifestyle of the people of that particular location, so it will lead to further production of that concept or that object. Slowly the object and events become a part of that community or notions or nation's culture. So in that way, how we are giving acceptance to certain things, how we are rejecting certain things. So if you got acceptance, or if you are giving acceptance to certain things, then it will promote further productions. And slowly that object or event or concept or whatever you have given acceptance, it will become a part of that community. See, food delivery system in Chennai or in Mumbai or in Delhi, it's a integral part of a community. Many people are living depending upon this food delivery system. No more they are cooking in their homes. If you are staying as individuals, not in a family, you are there for some jobs and all, most of the time you will depend upon food delivery system. So it has become an integral part of many people's lifestyle. So in that way, giving acceptance will lead to make that particular object or event or whatever it is, make a part of that community or nation's culture. This entire cycle determines the identity of the individual. So how they are consuming, whatever things they are accepting and rejecting, and this cycle of accepting something and making it a part of that community and your individual life, that determines the identity of that individual. Okay, everyday life, so it is greatly influencing your identity in a society. So what are things you are consuming in a society, that identity you have. Whatever things you have access to it, you have that kind of identity. And everyday life is a space where the individuals become central. So everyday life means then, people are living everyday life, their everyday life. Individuals have their own individual life, everyday life. So everyday life, in everyday life, individuals are central, because they are living their own everyday life. So the individual's identity is crucial in the study of everyday life. So since individual identity, individual people are central to everyday life, and they are living their own life in their own location, their own spaces, having their own lifestyle and preferences. So individual identity, how individual identity is created or playing a great or crucial role in everyday life and creating culture out of it, that is a side of study, that is a crucial study in everyday life. And everyday life in cultural studies is fragmented, multiple spaces, and where meanings are hybridized and contested. So everyday life is a vast realm where so many people are involved, so many cultural artifacts we can see, and number of things we can analyze in everyday life, because each and every moment we are consuming many things. So take the example of I'm taking class, I'm recording this video now, I'm using laptop for it, I have books to refer around me, I have mic attached to my dress. So in that way, I'm not only using whatever is available in and whatever is produced in my own country or in my own local space. I have access and wearing a western wear which is not a part of my pure tradition. Okay, maybe I'm having a dress which is actually the parent company is of some foreign company. So take the example of Levi's jeans. Maybe you are wearing something that is very comfortable, maybe you are wearing a formal dress. Take your own example. See, we must be wearing a watch which is foreign produced or produced by a foreign company in our land, and we are wearing a jeans, a Levi's jeans which is also foreign created or created by, produced by a foreign land, and we are having, I'm using a laptop which is also foreign created by foreign companies, and also I'm using many books which are published by foreign people, and also I'm using a keyboard, I'm using many more things. Literally most of the things I can find around me which are not produced by the local people of my place. They have come from far away lands, and without any question we are using them. We don't find any unnatural thing, we don't find any strangeness in using them. That means certain western things or certain faraway things are so hybridized into our society, into our culture, and that the meaning associated to these things are even hybridized. See, when you wear a kurta with Levi's jeans along with a dupatta, that is a hybridized form of fashion. See, there you are not completely neglecting your own ethnic background of fashion, lifestyle, I mean dressing style, but at the same time you are making it hybridized with the western wear that is available in the corner of your street. Okay, so in that way, everyday life, cultural things are so fragmented, and it has multiple spaces in everyday life as far as cultural studies is concerned, and where in that spaces we can see meanings are hybridized. What is the meaning of that you are wearing a Levi's jeans with a dupatta along with a kurta, wearing a slipper and wearing a foreign watch and glass? So in that way, your concept of fashion is hybridized. Your meaning of fashion is hybridized, where you are not completely neglecting or giving away your own ethnic culture of dressing style as an Indian person, because you are using a local chappal and you are using a dupatta which is Indian, but you are using Levi's jeans, and when you are using kurta, then that is more, even though that is associated with your own ethnic cultural value. So in that way, meanings are hybridized in various spaces of everyday life, and it is also contesting each other. So hybrid everyday life means, so what is the meaning of hybrid everyday life? Our experiences are now not restricted to one race or culture. See, some decades back, what determined our life? It was your race, it was your caste. In India, it was your caste basically. So if you belong to an upper caste, your lifestyle will be like this. You will be wearing this kind of dress, you will be wearing this kind of things, you will be using this kind of food, you will be having this kind of life. Your personal choices are restricted. Or if you are belonging to a lower caste, you will wear certain kind of things. You will have this kind of names for you. You can have this kind of education for you. You will do exactly this kind of jobs. You don't have a choice to take a job as you wish. So in that way, people were so much restricted about their personal experiences because of their culture, race, caste, or gender in which they were living. But now it is not the case. For your everyday life, for the choices that you have, race, culture and caste plays very little role, even though they are present there as a great power structure, but still you have personal choice. Even if you are belonging to a lower caste or race, you have a choice to wear something that you like. You have a choice to wear or have or consume food that you want to have if you have your money, and if you want to study something, you have a choice. So in that way, more than the structures deciding people's choices of everyday life, now we can see that people, they are themselves, individuals are determining their choices in their life. So in everyday life, individuals have an upper hand. Single persons have an upper hand in the experiences that they are having in their everyday life. But how come this happened? And as they are having individual choices, their identity are drawn from multiple global sources. That means, take the example of wearing Levi's jeans with a kurta and dupatta. So they are grabbing many things from multiple and global sources. See, Levi's jeans is available to you because of globalization, because you have or whoever is producing that, they have an access to your society, right? So in that way, cultural things will be taken by people from faraway lands, from global sources. At the same time, your things will also be taken by other people in the distant lands. Okay, so in that way, global sources are there from which identities are drawn. Our values are themselves inspired by global culture. See how, what kind of choices we are making. It is drawn, or it is created or inspired by global culture. The global cultural artifact is indigenized, given a local flavor. So take the example of Maggi masala noodles. Maggi masala noodles, Maggi, or you can say noodles, they are not part of Indian culture. They are of Chinese or Korean culture. So mainly noodles are consumed as in a daily basis as a food habit in China and Korea, in that kind of places. But in India, we mainly use rice with some masala curries, right? In every other curry in India, we'll use masalas, right? So that masala concept that we are having in our food habit, that is used to transform this cultural artifact of Maggi noodles into an indigenized version, like Maggi masala noodles. So it has given a local flavor to it in order to get more acceptance. So people with masala noodles, so people like Maggi noodles with masala in it. Okay, that is not simply happened. It got this cultural artifact of food habit, food item of Maggi noodles. It got indigenized. It actually got hybridized to Indian flavors, and it got a local flavor by adding masala ingredients to it. Okay, global. So in every other product you can see this. Global products are actively transformed and given new meanings by local audience and consumers. So Maggi masala got a new kind of meaning in Indian realm, in Indian location, in Indian territory. It got this global product got, or a kind of far away strange product of noodles got a new dimension and acceptance in Indian consumer, among Indian consumers. The consumer has a degree of power to choose the product and reinscribe its meaning. See here, since in everyday life individuals got a choice, individuals got a more freedom and agency to assert themselves about their choices that they are making in everyday life. So they have a degree of power, they have an agency, a capacity to choose the product and reinscribe its meaning. Okay, the individual is engaged in a product of self-realization and identity creation through the adoption of this lifestyle. So they are engaging, these individuals, since they are choosing their everyday life ingredients, so they are having a kind of agency, a power. So they project, they are engaged in a project of self-realization. They go through a process of self-realization and identity creation. So through the adoption of lifestyle. So by adopting a certain kind of lifestyle which are chosen by themselves, they create a certain kind of identity through self-realization. Okay, and the consumer assert agency in this process. So in this creation of identity, you have, as an individual who is living your own everyday life, and you have choice to create or choice to accept or reject something. As a consumer, you have an assertion. You have an agency, a power in this process. So that was all about everyday life. See, as you can see, everyday life is not a simple concept in cultural studies. It has it is a vast realm in which we can confront many concepts, because everyday life is also so complex and multi-layered. Okay, so if you have any doubts and queries, please message me in this number, or at least you can mention that in the comment section. And also don't forget to mention your major takeaway from this video in the comment section, so that other students may get inspired by it to watch the video. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon, so that I don't want you to miss any of the updations that we are doing in this whole video series, lecture series, or generally in our YouTube channel updating videos. So, and find me in this platform, like I have a website, like I mentioned, www.hypon.in. if you are interested in having a systematic study towards UGC NET JRF with the 2 bonuses and 15% off, then you can join us. You can join us, our family, as a student, and you can have 2 bonuses like weekly test and personalized study guidelines from us, and also every other necessary supports we will provide. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you are also present there, because I am sharing lot of free materials there related to NTA, UGC NET, JRF, English language and literature, that will be useful for you. And also, if you are interested in joining a WhatsApp group that I mentioned earlier, in which I am sharing contents related to NTA, UGC NET, JRF, English language and literature, you can obviously go to the description box and click the link, or if not, you can message me directly in this number and I'll share the link, and you and your friends can join freely. Okay, so that's all about it. Meet you in the next video session in this video series. Until then, bye bye and thank you.